Hello everybody, my name is Chase and welcome to my video. So today I'm going to be unboxing the Shadowverse Evolve special starter deck set. Been a long time coming because I've purchased this thing when Shadowverse the paper game first came out, because Shadowverse first started as a digital game, and then it eventually got like this this paper game. Sorry, just a little bit tired. And yeah, no, and yeah, I bought this starter deck set on release, but because at the time there was never really any strong local scene to really get into, and my friends as well just weren't really playing it. So and also when I pre-ordered this, but when I pre-ordered this, like I think January or December 2021 or something, or January 2022 or something, and by the time it got here, by the time it released, I was not in the right headspace to play any sort of card game, and most of the time I was working weekends anyway, so I was just away from card games in general. So this product came at the pretty wrong time, and I've never really touched this. I just like received it. I know this is the product, but I just never touched it. And I literally like about a year or so now, I literally just got it off of this fucking paper box, paper stuff. That's how much I procrastinated from getting into Shadowverse paper. And I decided, well, I mean, I've been uploading like a shit ton of videos lately, so this is like a good excuse for me to finally stop procrastinating and just open some of these stuff, and perhaps finally get into Shadowverse, because I really like the digital Shadowverse, the digital card game. As you can see, this collector's box, quote unquote, is already fucked up. So yeah, just unfortunate, really. Yeah. So yeah, nothing I can say about it, other than just purchase it from your local game store instead of purchasing from online Japanese stores like I did, basically. That's literally what I did. Although to be fair, I think by the time I wanted to purchase this, it was already sold out at my place, which is kind of weird because ultimately Shadowverse Evolved doesn't really have a very strong scene where I'm at least. Like, we had a regional lately, but it just never really. There's a lot of people, but local wise, there's just not much turnout, basically. And this is these are the items. You get 6 of each starter deck set, and each of the champions are here. The sleeves are here, very nice. The playmat is here, very nice. All of these are, very good vocabulary. Chase, very nice. What the fuck is this? Is this like? Oh, cool. So I have to claim this code before I upload the video. Great job. So no one fucking snipes it. I mean, not that it matters because no one watches this that quickly anyway. But yeah, that was one of the code for the actual Shadowverse game. So I guess I'll do it, because the expiry date is like 2024, which is still a long time from now. So yeah, it's still usable. So better do that. And which one should we open first? Let's open this one first, I guess. So yeah, this really loved Shadowverse as a digital game originally, and I tried to buy into this. I wanted to buy like one booster box as well, just to commemorate it, because that's kind of what I like doing. Like the same thing that I did for Grand Archive and other games. Just never really had the chance to. Woo! Very nice, very nice. Oh, I don't even care that I'm a monkey that without any more complex level of vocabulary to describe this. This is just very nice to touch. Just, I think this is like silk material, which is slightly different than the most of the other play mats that I'm used to. So yeah, this is like silk material. It's very smooth and silky. And this is the one of the most original, oldest Cygameverse character, Lucifer. This art specifically is from Shingeki no Bahamut, Rage of Bahamut, the Cygame's very first mobile game, way before mobile games were a thing, really. And I remember playing a little bit of it, because like it's more than 10 years ago at this point, because I was in the middle of those really shitty HTML browser games, and this was one of those I was playing as well. I remember playing Blood Brothers and Castle Age or some shit like that when I was still in high school. It was that long ago, and yeah. So 6 deck sets. There contains each of the classes, almost like the original Shadowverse digital game, except for one exception that I'll get to later. So this is the Swordcraft class. In Japan, they call it the Elf class. They don't really have any craft to their suffix to their name, and yeah, these are the cards really. So most of these are identical. I mean, honestly, the game's like a year old at this point, so most people know what the contents are. But you know, I'm just doing this for fun. These are the tokens. These tokens are so I actually Paper Shadowverse is very different from digital Shadowverse, because obviously digital, there's a lot of things that it digitally keeps track of, which is impossible in real life. So they had to revamp a couple of mechanics. The token mechanic, if you call any tokens, you have to call them into like a new zone, which is like the extra zone, if I'm not mistaken, and it takes like one extra turn before you can call them to the actual battlefield and use them to attack or use them to do stuff. I've only like slightly learned the game a little bit in one of those learn to play sessions that they hosted while there was a regional event going on lately. Actually, let me just. Oh god, wait. This is a little bit of a shit show because I just realized my bubble wrap is still here. Stupid. Oh, let's get this out of here. Yep. Don't need this anymore. Okay. So this was the Swordcraft/Elf class. It's the way it plays in the digital game is that it usually spams and swarms the field and plays a lot of spells in one turn, and depending on how many spells you played during that turn, certain cards give you extra effects. I don't know how they play in paper. Everything I'll be discussing or talking about in this video will be going off solely off the digital Shadowverse. So this is Alisa. This is the Elf/Swordcraft. I don't know what they call it. Leader. Yeah. They call it leader. In both languages. So yeah, that's the Swordcraft leader. So yep, there we go. Oh, I did not scratch the card. Cool. Okay, I was just scared the shit out of me for a second. This is Swordcraft. The main leader for Swordcraft her name is Erica. This is not Erica. This is another fan favorite Bahamut character, but this is Erica. The way Swordcrafts play is also very similar to what do they call Swordcraft in oh yeah, they call it Royal. They call it Royal in Japanese. So the way Swordcraft/Royal play in the original Shadowverse is they also spam and swarm the board. However, they go off of and it's very core. They go off of two different types that the followers have. That is what's that called again? Shit, I forgot what it's called. One of them is called the commander, which is this one. This girl's a commander in that game. I don't know about this game. The other one is called, I think, oh shit, it's been so long since I played the game, I forgot. It's like captain or something. Basically, it's the rank below commander or knight, I think. I don't remember. I genuinely do not remember. Yeah, these are the tokens for the knights. Actually, this is called a knight. I forgot what the lower rank of medieval knights swordsmanhood is called. There are 3 evolution points in behind every one of these decks. Evolution works very differently in this game in paper than they do in the digital game. This much I know. Basically, in the digital version, each player will have a set amount of evolution points that they can use to evolve. Once it's used up, you can't evolve things anymore. But in paper, the player that goes first has to use their play points to evolve, while the player that goes second gets these evolution points to evolve for free. Which I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like, it sounds kind of busted, but at the same time, if no one's complaining about it so far, that means the game balance and the way tempos work in paper is fine. So who knows? This is Runecraft/Witch, they call it in Japan. And yeah, just realized my hand this whole time has been very off center. So yeah, like this. Yeah, this is better. Ooh. Feel like I might not have shown the other deck very well just now. This is Insight, one of the most famous upstart gobliness, can draw a card, whatever you want to call it. Those kind of effects. Yeah, all of these are just the standard stuff that you would see in Wind Blast. Hey, that's cool. Don't know how the Wind Blast in this game works, but yeah, this is the also spot removal in the digital game. Not sure what it does here. These are the tokens, golem tokens, and also golem tokens, I think. Yeah, they're all golem tokens for the Earthright decks. This is the Witchcraft, Runecraft/Witch class main leader, Elizabeth. And yeah, that I think back then the decks that I would main was mostly Runecraft. One important thing that should be noted in the original digital game, the way Runecraft works is that whenever you cast a spell as in like non-creature, non-permanent, like just spell basically. Whenever you cast a spell, it boosts, it sort of adds a counter in your deck. In your hand. The cards that have a spell boostable ability, but in paper you wouldn't know which card has in a certain player's hand has that ability because your hand is all private knowledge. So that mechanics is impossible in paper, which is what I was talking about earlier. They would have to revamp some mechanics. I don't know how Runecraft works in paper, actually. I never really looked into it, even though that was one of the most one of the things I was the most curious about. I think it's something like, I think it checks like how many spells is in your graveyard, and then once it hits a certain amount, then the cards from your hand gets better if you cast it or something. Yeah, I think that was it. And yeah, I main Runecraft a lot. Because it was a lot of the decks throughout the lifespan were kind of fun. Also, they could sort of come up with like OTK shenanigans as well with Runecraft. This is Dragoncraft. I think in Japan they call it Dragon, maybe. I'm not sure. This is the most famous staple card of Dragoncraft, I guess. Basically, the way Dragoncraft plays is that it's kind of like a ramp class. You basically spend your turn to gain max play points, so that you can play more expensive cards ahead of your opponent. Like you play this card on 2 to gain an extra max play point. So by the next turn, you would have 4 play points to work with instead of 3, and so on and so forth. And once you hit like 7 play points, you're in overflow state, quote unquote, which is where a lot of your cards get bonus effects. So it is kind of like a inherently control-y kind of a play style because of how it's a ramp deck. It's a ramp play style. You have to ramp into your big stuff. These are the dragon tokens. I'm not sure what these are. I think you can ride on these. I guess, yeah, you can definitely ride on these. Not sure why it's not in the other ones though. But yeah. Oh, and the default Dragoncraft leader is this guy, Rowan. There's a whole story to Shadowverse, which I never ever read. I never read. Like, I think I read up to like the first 2 story arcs, and I never continued. Right. This is where I believe, well, personally, for myself at least, I think the war crime is committed. Where Cygame just went, let's commit some Geneva suggestion. Or let's break the Geneva suggestion, sorry. This, I believe they call it Abysscraft. I'm not sure what they call it in Japanese, but in the original one, it was called Bloodcraft/Vampire. That was one class. And then there was another class called Shadowcraft, which I think in Japan is called Shadow or something, or Necro, which is another class. So basically, the way they did it in paper is that they combine 2 of those classes into one class, which is called the Abysscraft. I think maybe in Japan they call it Abyss or something, which I don't know how most other people feel about it. I imagine that most people who are fans of the original Shadowverse would be really, really mad about this because Bloodcraft and Shadowcraft's playstyles were extremely different. Bloodcraft basically have the class has an inherent mechanic where once your life is at 10, you are in vengeance mode, and a lot of your cards would do extra stuff, and a lot of your cards would deal damage to you to sort of help you get to that vengeance mode. But also if those cards dealt damage to you, that means like those cards would have more value in terms of what they do on the field. Like a very let's take a look. Like something like this was like in the original Shadowverse, this card, Alucard, would on play fanfare effect. They call on play effects fanfare effects. Restore 5 life to your leader if you're in vengeance mode. So if you're 10 life and below, you play this card, you immediately gain 5 life. That's basically the one of the few gimmicks of the thing. This one as well, I think. If you're in vengeance, you evolve this and you get like 2 bats, which is like you're swarming the field a little bit. In the other game, I don't know what she does in this game. So yeah, these were okay. I'm starting to recognize some cards now. These were the Bloodcraft cards / Vampire. They just call it Vampire in the other thing. This one I believe was a Shadowcraft card. Shadowcraft, the way Shadowcraft / Necro plays is that it sort of destroys. It checks for how many followers / creatures that you've that has died, that you control that has died, and it sort of like uses that as fuel to to play your other cards, which would gain bonus effects. I'm explaining this really badly. Basically, imagine these are Shadowcraft cards. Imagine if you play this creature follower, it dies. That means you have one shadow in your graveyard. And then you play this card where there is an effect that checks for one shadow, like Necromancy 1 or something. And basically, let's just say this was a 2-cost vanilla 2/3, and if you play it, it's just a 2-cost vanilla 2/3. But if there was a Necromancy 1 effect, and if you fulfill that condition, it might have a bonus effect, like, oh, when it enters +1/+0 or something, then it becomes a 2-cost 3/3, something like that. And the more creatures that dies in your graveyard and stays in your graveyard, the more it counts towards that shadow counter. Any creatures that gets exiled/banished does not count towards that, basically. And any spells that aren't followers does not count towards that as well, I believe. This is a Bloodcraft card, and yeah, it's this is Shadowcraft, this is Bloodcraft. Yeah, they're just mixing everything. These are just generic cards, basically. At least in the game, there were generic cards. I'm pretty sure they shouldn't be Abysscraft. But yeah, it's a bit of a travesty. I personally think I was really mad when it was announced to be this way, because Bloodcraft was my second favorite class to main, alongside Runecraft. So yeah, this is Luna. She is the main leader for Shadowcraft in the digital game, but she is the de facto representation leader for Abysscraft in paper. The Bloodcraft's leader representation is an old vampire guy, which does not exist even in this art. They just completely erased. Actually, wait, he's here. No, I'm blind. He's here. It's actually right here, I guess. Yep, this guy, Urius. Urius is the leader for Bloodcraft, but they just combine these two together now, and it's just Luna because people like girl more than they like old men, I guess. So yeah, that's it's really, even as I'm speaking through it now, I'm genuinely kind of really mad about it. Again, I don't know how the actual paper game has turned out to be throughout the course of a year plus. I hope that it's still doing well. I think one thing, if anything else, if nothing else, I mean, side games are really good at supporting their card games, of all things. Like, I don't know why this is the case. They support Grand Blue Fantasy really well, but Shadowverse they also support really well. Compared to, actually, I'll explain why later. But let's get into the last one. This is called Havencraft. In Japan they call it Bishop. So yeah. So in English, they add the craft suffix to everything and just make it easier for the English-speaking people to make sense of it, basically. And yeah, the way Havencraft plays is like they would not spam, but like they would play a lot of amulets over followers. But you know, throughout the years, they play more and more followers because you got to keep up with the pace of the game. You can't just play, you know, amulet. Oh, sorry, amulets are non-permanent, like non-follower cards that just stays on the field and would generate you effects, or they would like count down towards countdown, and once a counter is gone, they transform into something that's like an actual body. Think of it like a continuous spell from Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's got like a counter that counts down towards it, and then it explodes into like a monster, a creature, basically. Or very specifically like an artifact / enchantment for Magic. And a lot of their removal effects are like banish effects, like this. This guy banishes in the digital game. I'm not sure if he still banishes here. And a lot of their playstyle are also recover their leader's life. Like basically they just keep healing. They just keep healing and healing and healing. So obviously, the main way this class plays is like a very control-y type of playstyle, which I personally just it's just the bane of my existence. Like in any card game in general, control decks is like it's my bane of existence. Even though I respect them, because I've played control decks myself to try to beat them, and there is a it is a very strategically necessary kind of a gameplay to go into it. Like you can't just like spam creatures and say go. Basically, you have to think about how to use your resources to control something and control the board or something like that. Unless they print like board wipes on the in this game, which I think might be pretty broken if it's just like a one card wrath. This girl, I forgot her name. I think she's Alice. She is the leader for Havencraft, and she's still the case. That's the case here. And that was all 6 decks. These are 2 sleeves. Lucifer, the one of the most, like I said, very famous, oldest Rage of Bahamut side game character. Side game, maybe like mascot at this point, but yeah. This is the sleeve for this is the artwork for. Oh god, I just realized it's not focusing well. Let me just try and see. Yeah, it's not focusing well. This is the artwork for like the main 7, I guess, 6/7 of that Shadowverse Evolve has, the one that you see here, basically. Yeah. And I believe that is it. There's nothing here. 6 decks, 1 playmat, 2 sleeves, and a very nice little storage box. Yeah, I love collectors stuff like this. I really love Shadowverse, and so I figured it was a very appropriate for me to buy this at least to collect. What else did I want to say? Oh, what's very funny is that I bought this for like 15k yen or something, or 16k yen even, like just the item itself, excluding shipping and all that. And today I can find many sealed copy of this for around 5k to 8k yen. So I bought this on release for no fucking reason, because I just didn't have the correct like time to get into card games. I bought but I still bought this on release anyway, and it just collected dust. Well, not really collected dust because it was sealed, literally. It just like sat there for like a whole year, and I just realized that I could have just saved $80 if I just waited. So yeah, that's a thing. So the reason why, one last thing I just want to get into, I guess, before I end the video, because that's basically it. The reason why I said that Shadowverse is a very well-supported card game is this. I think this is I play, as you can tell by now, with how much uncountable different card games that I play, that more than a single individual should probably be shameful, like sort of shamelessly admit that they play. Out of all the card games that I play, this card game, for whatever reason, at least for Shadowverse, the digital card game, the original one, for whatever reason, has the highest amount of monetary reward at the highest level. Like every single year, I don't think they've skipped a beat, but every single year they would have like a league system, and then at the end of the year, they would select select several players from different regions to participate in worlds, and just like any other league system in card games. But the price give out for worlds is that the champion gets 1 million USD. You're not hearing me wrong. 1 million USD. That's the champion prize. The second place is 500k. The third, fourth place is 250k. The fifth to eighth rather, is like 5k. So if you just top, you get like 5k, which is like, it's not that much, quote unquote, but it's fine. But compared to like other games that I know, like I think Magic, if I'm not mistaken, the world's grand champion prize goes up to like 250k only, and that's already absurd amount of money. Like 6 digits, you can if you just use those 6 digits correctly, you probably don't even have to think about money for like the next few years or something. um, uh, um, and yeah, like it's absurd, and like this is the most amount of monetary reward, payoff reward, quote unquote, that I've seen in a card game. And what's even more absurd about this, coupled with that fact, is that the digital card game for Shadowverse is extremely free to playable. It's like you literally do not need to spend money, and you can just play it. You just need to be smart about your vials, which is like the currency that you collect to craft cards, basically, to craft very specific cards that you want. I'm not sure if that's still the case now, where it's very free to playable. I heard that it's not. I heard that they changed it to like a battle pass thing instead of just giving you free packs every now and then for no good reason. They do that for Grand Blue and like Shadowverse a lot. They do that a lot. They just give free shit for no good reason, which is very nice of them. But yeah, that because of that, it's very free to playable. So a game that's so free to playable, and also like the highest payoff is like $1 million, is just something that's like I've never really heard of. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they make way more than $1 million in net profit to be able to do this, but it's still something that I've never seen any card game do. Maybe Pokemon is something like that. I don't know. I never really looked into it. But yeah, like I don't know if they're gonna make the final payoff for Shadowverse Evolve to be just as high. But yeah, we'll see where it goes from here, because in my place they just recently, like last month, they just hosted like a officially sanctioned regionals. Like it was a very big event, and there's a lot of people there, even though the local scene here is just not that strong. Like just these people just pop out of nowhere, and like, yeah, I played this game too. so, so yeah, that's basically my rant, I guess. Really love this game, this digital game, and we'll see if I have the time and money, I guess, as usual, to properly get into this in paper. Honestly, it's kind of hard because, like I said, the local community here, local scene here is just not that strong. And when the locals are running, you know, playing this much card games as I already do, like it's my other card game is also concurrently running as well, like Wise or something. So it's like pick and choose. I have to sacrifice one. And we'll see if I can make any more friends that I can like get into proper with. And yeah, that was my like slightly longer than necessary rant and opening of the Shadowverse Evolve Special Starter Deck Set unboxing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening up to this point, as always. Just realized they're not in the camera. And goodbye. Have a good one.